Hey there, folks. Today I thought I'd talk about some of my favorite winter kokanee fisheries in the Pacific Northwest. Now, I generally target kokanee throughout much of the year, but I take a break in October through like mid-November because during that time it just seems like even when I go out trying to target next year's fish, all I get is the aggressive spawning fish. And unless I'm going out to target spawners specifically, I usually just kind of leave them be during this time period. But starting in mid November, the kokanee bite for next year's fish really starts to pick up. A lot of those spawners have either died or moved into their spawning streams or hanging really tight to shore. And this is a great time to start targeting those next year's fish. And there are a lot of lakes that provide opportunities for kokanee fishing in the winter in the Pacific Northwest. So there's a variety of factors that I consider when sort of picking my top winter kokanee fisheries. One is accessibility. A lot of our lakes are going to get snowed in, or there's going to be gates that are going to close off access to it. Additionally, there's just legal closures. So a lot of lakes in eastern Washington are seasonal lakes, especially our kokanee lakes, and they just shut down those fisheries from the end of October to like the third or fourth week in April. So that reduces opportunity there as well. And then there's other access issues in terms of ramp maintenance and such that are important when accessing winter kokanee fisheries. Other factors that play into this list is the consistency of the winter bite. There are mysteriously some lakes like Lake Stevens and Yale Reservoir that are open year-round, but people really struggle to connect with kokanee on those bodies of water during the winter months. And then lastly, there's just the quality of the fishery. There's just a lot of lakes out there with very stunted kokanee that are very small, and those fisheries tend to be of less interest to me. So here's my take on the top winter kokanee fisheries in the Pacific Northwest. Number one is going to be Lake Merwin. It's the lake that I cut my teeth on in terms of kokanee fishing. Of course, back in those days, 10, 15 years ago, the kokanee fishery there was in a lot better shape in terms of average size. But I would go out every year on New Year's Day and catch a limit or a near limit of fish, and some of those fish would be pushing the 16 to 17 inch range. That's not the case anymore, but the fish there are still decent size. You're still going to see fish in that 12-ish inch range, even during the winter months, and the bite there is very consistent in the winter months. It's a reliable lake that has good maintenance on the boat ramp. And because it's on the west side of the Cascades, it's just warmer and wetter, and so it doesn't tend to get a lot of snowfall. It's a great place to go winter kokanee fishing. The fish are all going to be near the surface, which is sort of the great thing about winter kokanee fishing. It's pretty much a flatlining fishery for most lakes, and Merwin is no exception. So you're just targeting that top, 10, 15 foot of the water column. Another really good west side of the Cascades kokanee fishery during the winter months is Detroit Reservoir in the Willamette Valley. At least for the time being, that reservoir still has not been drained by the Army Corps. But it does have a winter ramp because the lake does go up and down because it is a flood control lake. And so the water levels tend to be lower as it goes into the winter months, but you can still access it. It has really quality kokanee. And it's a great winter kokanee fishing spot as well. Now, if we jump to the other side of the Cascades, we definitely have to talk about Lake Chelan. This lake cycles up and down in terms of its kokanee size all the time. It's kind of in a down turn at the moment, but those fish are still some of the best tasting kokanee out there. It's a very deep, clean, clear lake. Most of the kokanee in Lake Chelan are going to exit the lower basin in the winter months and go from the Narrows on up. So you need a boat or a lot of endurance in terms of kayak fishing in order to get up there. But there are numerous boat ramps available at the state park in Manson and points down below, but you just have to make a long run up lake. You can find scattered kokanee in the winter months in the lower basin, but don't expect a super consistent bite down there. So those fisheries I just discussed are really good numbers fisheries. You can go out there and expect to encounter a lot of fish on good days. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about one of the best trophy kokanee winter fisheries in the Pacific Northwest, and that is Lake Roosevelt. Wintertime is absolutely one of the best times to target these fish. So, like starting right around Christmas or the New Year is sort of the best time for Lake Roosevelt. But again, they're going to be near surface. And if you want to catch a 20-inch kokanee in January, it's totally possible on Lake Roosevelt. Most of the fish are going to be in the central portion of the lake from like Keller's Ferry up to Lincoln is going to be your best bet. They don't start moving down to the dam until they start drawing the water down in the spring. I do have a really good video on fishing Lake Roosevelt. If you're a patron or community member, you can find that there. That gives details on how to target those fish at what times of the year and where. But Lake Roosevelt is absolutely an amazing fishery. You're only allowed to take two, but when they're 4 to 5 pounds each, that's plenty. So it's an amazing fishery during the winter months. It can be very challenging in terms of weather and boat ramp conditions. So you need to be wary. They can be very icy. They can be very slick. The roads can be very dangerous getting in there. So you have to time your trips accordingly. Okay, so those are my favorite like open water kokanee fisheries. But if you don't have a boat, wintertime is the best time for the bank-bound angler to get out on the ice and catch kokanee. Kokanee will readily hit jigs, small spoons, and things of that nature under the ice. And one of the best places to do that reliably in Washington State is Bonaparte Lake. Now, Bonaparte Lake is one of our most reliable ice fisheries. It's one of the first lakes to freeze over, and it holds its ice well into March and sometimes April. And the kokanee there have generally been small, but this past year there was a bit of a decline in the numbers, but the average size has gone up, and they were pulling 15, 16-inch fish through the ice last year. I expect more of the same. So it's not going to be like, you're not going to go out there and slay 10 kokanee right off the bat, but you're going to catch some quality kokanee through the ice there. It's a really fun and easy way to catch kokanee. All you need to do is just drill a hole out over some of the deeper water. It really helps to have sonar, but you just jig mid-column or work your way up down through the column and jig aggressively. These fish do hit hard under the ice. Now, if you want to get into some really big kokanee through the ice, the best place is going to be the Caribou of British Columbia. They have a spectacular ice fishery for kokanee. There are so many lakes up there to pick from. You've got 10 Mile, Bridge, Decca, Hathaway. I think Hathaway even has a resort that's open through the winter on the lake, so you can stay in a cabin right there and then go right out on the ice and fish. So all of those lakes will freeze over, and a number of those lakes have the potential to produce fish in excess of 18 inches. I've seen a few 20-inch fish come through the ice in those lakes. And the reason that is because of the low stocking rates that BC Fisheries does. They just really manage their kokanee fisheries very differently than we do here in the United States. They're really managing for trophy-sized fish, quality-sized fish. And they also utilize triploid kokanee. And so in triploid kokanee, the males will still just die at age 4 like they normally would, but the females can live up to 5 or 6 years old. And so you'll have these larger age class females that are maintaining their chrome colors. And so every once in a while, these lakes will kick out a 21-inch or 22-inch fish through the ice, which would just be absolutely incredible to me to be fighting such a giant kokanee on such a small rod. So it's definitely worth looking into going up there. There's a lot of places you can stay in the Kamloops area and further north in the Caribou at 100 Mile House. Plenty of hotels and resorts. You can stay there. Plus, you've got just hundreds of lakes to pick from in terms of ice fishing, and they also have things like giant rainbow trout, brook trout, burbot, lake trout. There's plenty of fish to keep you busy. I think another really good lake to look into would be Ruth Lake. It's got giant kokanee. I fished there this last year with my dad, and it's a fairly easy lake to access. It's skinny, narrow. There's just a few basins where the fish are going to hold, so they're going to be really easy to find in those winter months as well. So if you're a bank-bound angler or just somebody who's really obsessed with kokanee and you're looking for a really fun winter adventure, I would definitely look to the Caribou for ice fishing for kokanee. All right, that's my list. If you have any lakes that you would add to that list, let me know in the comments section below. And I'll see you guys next time. Just remember, fish smarter, not harder.